Hello and welcome to Precontation Points video Snark. I'm making my way through Fallen by Lauren Kate. If you haven't seen the other videos, you might want to do that before jumping into this one, or else you might be confused. Links will be posted below. Chapter 14. It begins to rain so hard that the students are forbidden from going outside during their school breaks. Luce feels like she's already going crazy from this. Although Luce blames this on the weather, I feel like she was already kind of obsessed with Daniel to begin with. But Luce starts to write down all of the incidents with Daniel, starting with her first introduction to him. Except she only just reestablishes that Daniel's behavior is erratic with no obvious pattern to it. She also can't quite figure out why she's so obsessed with him. After class is finished for the day, Luce wants to have some time to herself. She wants to duck into the gym to have a swim. But as she's leaving the class building, she literally bumps into Cam and makes him drop his books everywhere, which Cam naturally makes a joke about meet cute, which I don't find nearly half as annoying as previous meta jokes in this book. Luce asks if he's okay, and she gets this random thought that she would like for him to hug her the way he did at Todd's memorial. He says that he'd waited for her at the memorial, but that she never came back. And the memorial was on Wednesday. It's Tuesday. You mean to tell me that they've somehow missed seeing each other up until this exact moment, especially when they have at least one class together? Cam wants to do something with Lucen, but she longingly thinks of the gym and tells him later. They arrange to hang out that night and Cam kisses her on the forehead. Luce just feels good about the entire thing, and as she goes to the gym she realizes that she needs to sort out more than just her feelings for Daniel. Luce goes into the church. She isn't sure if she's even allowed in there without permission, but the doors are unlocked and nobody is in there to stop her. She then starts thinking about adding more things to her creepy Daniel list, although she'd already thrown the physical copy she started in class away. This leads her down a frustrating rabbit hole of thinking about a dream that she'd had the night before, of Cam kissing her, but then Cam morphed into Daniel, and then Daniel grew wings and just watched her. And then in the dream, Luce got hotter and hotter until she forced herself awake. I just wish that this book would get to the point already. The dream had been stuck in her head all day, which is why she felt like she needed to go for a swim in order to help her clear her head. As she goes to where the pool is, she really feels in tune with the holy vibes of the church and tries to imagine what it might have looked like before the pool went in. She dives in and starts to swim, but her mind starts to drift back to Daniel and she has to remind herself not to think about those things. Pen interrupts her swim to say that she had a conversation with Cam because he was worried about Luce, but Pen is more disturbed that Cam would have an actual conversation with her. Luce only sees the side of the man who wants to get into Luce's pants, but Pen doesn't get that with Cam. Ever. Luce also mentions that she wore Cam's necklace exactly once. After Daniel left her by the lake the second time, she fell asleep holding it and woke up to it feeling too hot to touch. This leads to Luce defending her resistance to Cam by saying that she's not into superficial stuff. Pen teases her about her crush on Daniel and asks to name one thing Luce likes about Daniel that isn't physical. Luce says that Daniel gets her, but doesn't really know how to explain this further. Pen goes on to say that she hacked into Miss Sophia's librarian's only part of the computer and found something else. She wants to take Luce there to show her something. They hurry across the campus where they have to squeeze past an area that's still being blocked off with caution tape, and it smells like a combo of a bonfire and mildew thanks to the sprinklers. Luce took her first look at where Miss Sophia's desk had sat, now a charred, nearly perfect circle in the old tile floor in the library center. Everything in a 15-foot radius had been removed. Everything beyond that was strangely undamaged. 'Cause that's not suspicious at all. The girls have a difficult time walking past the area where they'd last seen Todd alive. When they get to one of the computers, Pen is upset to remember that the internet turns off after 4 and you need a password to use it. After assuring Miss Sophia that they're going to be doing actual research and not just using social media, they're given 20 minutes. Pen says that until the book turns up, they can at least find more info about the Watchers. Miss Sophia had left after giving them the password, but she came back after a minute. She says some stuff about how much the fire affected her, and the girls don't really know what to say about it. Pen offers to let her help with their research. Once Miss Sophia realizes what they're doing, she mentions that she knows exactly what it is that they're looking at. She mentions the Grigori clan, which, again, that can't possibly be a coincidence. I'm sorry, did you say Grigoris? Oh yes, the historians have traced them back to the Middle Ages. They were... She paused, searching for the words. A sort of research cluster, to put it in modern layperson's terms. They specialized in a certain type of fallen angel folklore. Rolling my eyes so hard right now. As Miss Sophia pulls up page after page of info, Luce remembers Daniel's wings from her dream. Miss Sophia also talks about the different kinds of angels, but the only one she makes a comment on is the kind that lie with mortals, which might as well have stuck a giant neon sign next to that one. Penn asks if these Gregories might have any connection to Daniel. Miss Sophia admits that she has wondered that too, but obviously it's not her place to go digging into the ancestral background of one of her students. Miss Sophia then gets out of their way, apologizing for having hogged their time. Penn says that there isn't much time left and to start taking notes. The Gregories do not sleep. Seemed possible. Daniel always did look tired. They are generally silent. Check. Sometimes talking to him was like pulling teeth. Taking notes from Twilight, are we? Wait, when did this book come out? Goodreads tells me December 2009. Twilight was originally published September 2006, so I suppose that it is possibly copied. The computer shuts off just then. Luce didn't get a chance to take many notes, and instead seemed to have spent most of her time drawing the angel wings from her dream, something that Penn remarks upon with annoyance. Luce ducks under the table to find the trash can when she sees Daniel walking towards them. Luce is just grateful that the computer turned off before he could see what they were looking at. He already thinks that she's stalking him, and she doesn't need to fan those flames. Penn then points out that Cam is standing behind them. Luce hadn't noticed him and he startles her. He then gives her another jewelry box, but makes her promise to open it later when she's alone. Penn asks if she should go, but Cam insists that she should stay and that he'll see Luce later. And then he grabs Luce and kisses her on the lips, and is promptly punched by Daniel for his effort. The two boys start to physically fight each other, and as they're going, I can't help but go, "Teacher? Anybody seen the teacher?" Daniel urges Cam to continue this outside and only just tells Luce to stay inside. The girls watch the rest of the fight from the window. Luce just feels some kind of extreme empathy for Daniel and seems to feel it whenever Cam hurts Daniel. Penn is excited and says that she used to watch fights with her dad. She also says that both boys clearly have fight training. And then finally, a teacher shows up, except that Mr. Cole doesn't immediately break up the fight, which I find kind of weird. The girls watch as he gives a talking to the boys, and then Cam leaves. Cole talks with Daniel for a bit longer after that. Penn finds it strange that all of this was started because of whatever Cam had given her. Luce says that she doesn't want whatever Cam had given her, not after that. Penn says that she'll take it and Luce gives her the box, only she seems surprised by whatever is inside it, of which we will not know until later. Chapter 15. The chapter opens on Luce describing herself in the mirror. Sort of. It's more like, this is the me that I'm used to seeing in the mirror. Now I no longer recognize myself and I don't like to look at myself. I'll allow it, but this scene is on thin ice. But today she's checking her reflection in the bathroom mirror. Why? Because she's going to go see Cam. And before you say anything, she's telling him that she isn't interested in him, which I will also allow. She finally made up her mind following Cam's fight with Daniel the evening before, but she hasn't seen either him or Daniel since, probably because they're both in some sort of probation punishment. Luce is certain that Cam is going to be waiting for her, but when she gets up to the parking lot, nobody is there. Instead, she finds a note pinned to a tree that says Cam is going to rescue her from Wednesday's social night and a car will pick her up. At this point, I'd like to state for the record, Danger Will Robinson. Luce is startled by the car and leaving the campus aspect, but then she gets angry because she wanted to break up with Cam and not have him continue to try and woo her. The aforementioned car pulls up and actually goes in through the gates, and the entire time I can't help but think about every single crime drama that I've ever seen. Getting into a car ordered by a guy who can't seem to take no for an answer, driven by an unknown third party, seems like an amazing way to be murdered. As the car pulls up close to where Luce is standing, Luce suddenly remembers that there are security cameras all around campus, and that the couple who were allegedly caught sneaking off campus haven't been seen or heard from since. And then the driver gives Luce a second note, also from Cam, saying that he put duct tape over the security cameras in the parking lot. Luce thinks about how she has her own phone call coming up in a few minutes, but eventually decides that she has no idea how she can begin to explain any of what's going on in her life to Callie or her parents, so she decides to get into the car. When Luce asks where they're going, the man name drops somebody named Mr. Brielle in a place by the river, and he calls her honey. None of this makes Luce feel better. Luce is driven to a bar, because of course she is, and Cam staggers out, because of course he does. Luce assures Cam that she wouldn't have stood him up, but then feels worried about having said that. Cam takes Luce inside where she tries to give back the snake necklace, but Cam takes it the wrong way and thinks that Luce needs help putting it on and tries to get her to look at her reflection in the mirror. Thankfully, it's a seedy bar in the middle of nowhere, so the mirrors are disgusting and Luce can't see anything in it. But Luce is suddenly insanely taken by the necklace. Danger, Will Robinson. Behind a reflection in the window, the sky was a rich orange popsicle color. What does that mean? Are popsicles somehow a specific color now or something? The jukebox was playing Ziggy Stardust. Not even a David Bowie reference can soften me to this unremarkably boring story. Sorry, not sorry. They go sit down and Cam says that he's been there all day because he's been suspended from the school that's supposed to be the punishment when regular school fails, because this is how these things work, right? They just let delinquent underage students wander off and spend the entire day getting drunk in a bar. And as the reality of her current situation begins to come back to Lou, she starts to panic a little. She has no idea how she'll get back to the school or even where the school is in relation to the bar. Cam then screams for service, and the bartender, without even glancing at Luce, unearths a bottle of champagne upon Cam's request. He apologizes for having let his anger win in regards to Daniel, and that he should have listened to her, all while not listening to anything that Luce is saying. Well, I mean, she's not really saying much, but then again, Cam's not exactly giving her the chance to speak for herself. As Luce foolishly raises her glass to take a drink, Cam insists that they need to make a toast to something, but before they can decide what to toast on, some creeper comes over to them and insists that Luce is going to, well, I'm sure you can guess. Cam bats the guy's hand away as if it's nothing and tries to get back to the non-conversation he was having with Luce. But the guy is not having any of this and breaks some glass over Cam's head. This naturally leads to a fight between Cam and the creeper. Luce literally turns tail and runs out after a while, not wanting anything to do with any of this nonsense. She finds Daniel outside because of course she does. She starts to cry when he suggests that they leave, and she instantly feels better when he holds her hand. As they cross the parking lot to Daniel's car, because of course he's got a car too, shadows start to spill out from the bar, and Daniel seems to do something that makes them go away, but Luce can't tell this to Daniel, and only just points out how Cam just stepped outside. Cam is spinning mad and seems upset that Luce is in a car with Daniel. He warns her against this, but supernatural elements or no, taking a girl that you barely know to a seedy dive bar in literally the middle of nowhere where you yourself are drunk as a skunk and then get into a fight with local color, you don't get to be upset when she leaves with literally anybody else. As Daniel zips away, Luce asks where Daniel got the car from. He says that he stole it from Miss Sophia and that she's too distracted by the social night to notice that it was borrowed, and that's when Luce realizes that Daniel is wearing a Confederate soldier uniform. He then scolds her, which I feel like is something that Luce herself knows. She shouldn't have gotten into that car. She could have told Cam in their classroom that he should stay away from her, but she didn't because she's an idiot. But Daniel seems to be more upset with the idea that Luce was with Cam, is involved with him, than the fact that Cam dragged Luce out there. Luce calls Daniel out on his nonsense, and then Daniel pulls off to the side of the road and turns the engine off. Luce asks why he would go to all the trouble to come help her, only to go back around and continue to treat her like she doesn't matter. He then says that she doesn't get it, and she continues to call him out on his nonsense. She then randomly spouts off all of her academic accomplishments up until this point, and how she wants to become a therapist who actually helps her patients rather than to just push drugs onto them and not do anything else, which is her own experience with therapists. But Daniel says that he knows all of this, that she's smart and kind and pretty. He says that he's tired of this, but refuses to explain further, and then they kiss. When they pull away, Daniel seems surprised that Luce is still there. Luce insists that nothing could drag her away. Daniel walks away from her and seems certain that they will come, because they always come, and although Luce tries to tell herself that she doesn't know what he's talking about, she has a feeling that she knows. And what is happening? Could this be a plot? Yeah, I'm a little excited that this book is finally getting to the point. Thanks for listening to my book Snark on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and be here next Monday. Don't forget to check out my other video Snark series. If you're new here, then I also run a Tumblr where I post daily book Snark. I also have a Patreon where I post early releases of my daily Snark, but also bonus Snark that isn't up anywhere else. Plus, all supporters get a big shout out. Thank you so much to Don and Phoebe for supporting me already. You can hear your name next week by joining my Patreon for $1 a month. However, since it is a reoccurring charge, I also accept PayPal and Coffee. Also, if you want to read some of the stuff that I've published, and you can purchase my works on Amazon, I have 17 erotic short stories, 1 short story collection, and 1 full-length novel. Links for all of these things will be posted below. See you next week, guys! Plus, all supporters get a big shout out. Can I help you?